Hi, this is Axeman from here down. Interested in you seeing this. My face doesn't matter. Welcome to this lesson on the Jimmy Buffett song Changes in Latitude. I'm going to show you the chords first, then I'll play it for you, and then I'll explain what I did. And then in part two, I'll play it again with the backup band tracks so you can have that to practice too if you prefer it that way. Okay, here we go. First, the chords. We've got the open G chord. Now, hopefully you already know these chords, but if you don't, put this on a little chart so you got it. Alright, then we have first inversion of G. This part of it's still the same, but here we're at the second fret. The only difference is this note. And we have the open D chord. And the open A chord. And B minor at the second fret. And F sharp minor at the fourth fret. And that's all the chords for this one. Now, I'll play it, then I'll tell you what I did. Here we go. I took off for a weekend last month just to try and recall the whole year. All of the faces and all of the places, wondering where they all disappeared. I didn't ponder the question too long. I was hungry and went out for a bite. Ran into a chum with a bottle of rum and we wound up drinking all night. It's these changes in latitudes, changes in attitudes, nothing remains quite the same. With all of my running and all of my cunning, if we couldn't laugh, we would all go insane. Reading departure signs in some big airport reminds me of the places I've been. Visions of good times that brought so much pleasure makes me want to go there again. If it suddenly ended tomorrow, I could somehow adjust to the fall. Good times and riches and bright sunny beaches, I've seen more than I can recall. Of these changes in latitudes, changes in attitudes, nothing remains quite the same. Through all of the islands and all of the highlands, if we couldn't laugh, we would all go insane. I dream about Paris when I'm high on red wine. I wish I could jump on a plane. So many nights I just dream of the ocean. God, I wish I was sailing again. Oh, yesterday's over my shoulder, so I can't look back for too long. There's just too much to see waiting in front of me, and I know that I just can't go wrong. With these changes in latitudes, changes in attitudes, nothing remains quite the same. With all of my running and all of my cunning, if I couldn't laugh, I would just go insane. If we couldn't laugh, we would all go insane. If we weren't all crazy, we would go insane. There you go. A few minor glitches, but I'll tell you what we did anyway. Okay, here we go. It starts off with the G chord. Now the lick, I'm playing sixths, which are notes 2 strings apart. So I start with that, the whole G chord. Then I lift this finger to make the 1st and 3rd string open and play those notes. Then I come down to the other form of the G chord and play those 2 notes. So and then I move to the D chord and go. I'm still doing those 2 strings, the 1st and 3rd. And then I'm playing the 2nd and 4th string. 2nd string's 3rd fret, 4th string is 4th fret, which is part of that G chord. So, and then the D chord, those notes. Then I move to the A chord. I'll use the 2nd and 4th string, and then still those 2 strings, but it's what would amount to the D chord, and then the 2 notes of the G chord. So it's just start with the A, D, G, D, A, except only playing the 2 strings. That's an interval of a 5th, and these are both 6. Major 6, minor 6. And then back to D. Now, sometimes I do 6th to get back to the G. And sometimes I just do 3rds. Sounds almost the same, but with the 6th you're doing the 4th and 2nd strings at the 2nd fret. Then you do the 2nd string at the 3rd fret, 4th string at the 4th fret, then 2nd and 4th string both at the 5th fret. And that amounts to the same as the 1st and 3rd open, same notes. So you can do it or, and then you go to the G again. Or if you do it with 2 fingers. And then the D again. And then so that was now on the record, Jimmy Buffett or whoever his acoustic guitar player is does a harmonic lick that at the 7th fret on the guitar, but since the ukulele's tuned different, to get the same notes I do this. This is at the 9th fret on the 1st string, 10th fret on the 2nd string, 12th fret on the 2nd string, 9th fret on the 3rd string. Sounds pretty much like Big Ben's chime. Except with a little different rhythm. So that comes after each intro. Okay, now we get into the actual singing part. So in D for I took off for a weekend last month just to try and recall the whole year. That was D. Now I use 2 different picking patterns. Sometimes I'm just doing, and sometimes when it's time to go to the B minor, I'd use a moving bass line. So that's the D note, 2nd fret on the 3rd string, to C sharp, which is the 1st fret on the 3rd string, and then I go to the B root of the B minor chord. So it's, and then to the F sharp minor, to G, to D, back to G, D. Now it's heading into the chorus, and I walk up to the G from D, using 6ths or 3rds. And while singing that chorus, I play basically the same thing I did on the intro. Changes in latitudes, changes in attitudes, nothing remains quite the same. With all of my running and all of my gunning, let's see, all of my running and all of my gunning, just go insane. And then the next verse. After the 2nd verse, there's a little instrumental, and it's just an abbreviated version of the intro, which just goes at the end of the verse. Whoops, sorry. It's it. Once again. Back to the next verse. I think about Paris when I'm high on red wine. I wish I could jump on a plane. In the ending, I don't know if I did it exactly right when I played it, but I'll show you the way I wanted to do it. It gets, if we couldn't laugh, we would all go insane. If we weren't all crazy, we would go insane. Oh, I'm sorry, that's better. If we couldn't laugh, we would all go insane. Using this form of G instead of the open. So if we weren't all crazy, we would go. Would go insane. So that's G, D, A, D. But emphasizing the 2nd and 4th strings. So if we weren't all crazy, we would go insane. We would go insane. And then the last time, if we weren't all crazy, we would go in. And then it plays the intro. So once again on the ending. If we weren't all crazy, we would go insane. If we weren't all crazy, we would go insane. If we weren't all crazy, we would go insane. A little fumbly, but there you go. I hope you can figure out all those licks. Once more. And from there we go. See you in part 2 for the accompanied version.